gate with 16 wins in a row. Much of that success due to a tough defense. And also, they possess a great backcourt combination. Tommy Amaker won half of the twosome. Amaker leads the team with 39 steals and 115 assists. His partner, All-American Johnny Dawkins. He leads Duke in scoring. But last Saturday, North Carolina opened its new Student Activity Center and at the same time closed Duke's unbeaten season down. The Tar Heels didn't have things all their own way, despite their superior height and #1 ranking. Duke took the early lead, helped by 2 of Johnny Dawkins' 22 points. Teammate David Henderson had 24. But Carolina's Steve Hale eclipsed them all with 28 points. And the Tar Heels won the squeaker and still remain atop the college basketball rankings. Duke's David Henderson did not think Carolina's Kenny Smith's shot was good no matter. Duke lost by 3. Meanwhile, Bobby Krement's Georgia Tech team stumbled early, but have since won 14 in a row. It was way last November when Michigan edged Tech by 5 points. Neither Michigan nor Georgia Tech would call that game an artistic success, but for the Wolverines, the bottom line was they won. And Georgia Tech, picked by many to be #1, lost 49-44. Since that bleak November day, everything's been brighter for the Yellow Jackets. They've won their 14 in a row, although admittedly with a few scares along the way. Mark Price is the top scorer. But John Sally's play at center and at forward has also helped. And there's freshman help from Tom Hammonds. Tonight, Georgia Tech at home, 14 straight wins, and Duke, a loss last Saturday after winning 16 in a row. It's a matchup that at the moment only the Atlantic Coast Conference can boast. #2 Duke plays #3 Georgia Tech next on ESPN. That's the noise of Alexander Memorial Coliseum, Georgia Tech, Atlanta, Georgia. It is a capacity crowd, of course, of better than 8,000 for tonight's game. And good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Simpson. Remember the Vicki Lawrence recording of the night they turned the lights out in Georgia? Well, as far as opposing coaches are concerned, they turn out the lights every night they come to Georgia and play at Armstrong. As a matter of fact, there's nothing wrong with your set. That's the total lighting you'll see throughout the game. My question to my colleague is, and he's always got an answer, why would Bobby Cremens of Georgia Tech want to play in this subdued lighting?
Hey, Jim, Eastman Kodak should hire the Alexander Coliseum as a photo lab to develop some film. But why would Cremens want to play here? Very simply, a great psychological edge, familiarity, and it's a great positive force playing in this arena.
Every time Dick and I talk about tonight's game, and we've talked quite a bit about it, he starts in the backcourt for both teams.
Well, you talk about the backcourt of Duke University. Tommy Amaker is the best pure point guard in relating to the great explosive player, Johnny Dawkins. They're the quickest backcourt in the nation. On the other side, we got a tenacious defensive tandem in Mark Price and Dalrymple. But the big question, Jim, is their physical capacity. Both have not practiced since Saturday's win at Clemson.
Both of them with a slight injury problem. Okay, you say to win. Coaches say to win. You got to have a big guy. Both teams have big men.
Well, I believe right now, you look at Georgia Tech, Bobby Cremens doesn't want to hear me say this, but they are the premier starting 5 in the nation. And inside, they got a veteran, an experienced Rolls-Royce player in John Sally. Cremens says he hasn't played to his capacity. He's always trying. On the other side, Duke's got a good inside player. He's also a perimeter player, Mark Allery. Hey, Jim, get me a uniform. I'm ready to play. What excitement.
So now we're ready to have you. They're ready to turn the lights up in Georgia. This is a matchup, as we said, only the Atlantic Coast Conference could boast at this moment. The second and third ranked teams in the country. ESPN's college basketball. Tonight's game is being brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. And what a game we have for you tonight. Duke and Georgia Tech. What a matchup. It should be a great game. We look forward to it. For the introductions, here's John Culver.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineups for this evening's game. Starting at the forward position, first for the Duke Blue Devils. A senior from Scottsdale, Arizona, 6'8", number 32, Mark Allery. For the Jackets, a freshman from Crestview, Florida, 6'8", number 20, Tom Hammond. For the Blue Devils, a senior from Drury, North Carolina, 6'5", number 12, David Henderson. For the Jackets, a sophomore from Towson, Maryland, 6'6", number 33, Dwayne Farrell. At the center position, for Duke, a freshman from Bowie, Maryland, 6'10", number 35, Danny Ferry. For the Jackets, a senior from Brooklyn, New York, 7 foot, number 22, John Spider-Sally. At the guard position, first for the Blue Devils, a junior from Falls Church, Virginia, 6 foot, number 4, Tommy Amaker. For the Jackets, a junior from Manhattan, New York, 6'4", 24, Bruce Dalrymple. And for the Blue Devils, a senior from Washington, D.C., 6'2", number 24, Johnny Dawkins. For the Jackets, a senior from Enid, Oklahoma, 6'1", number 25, Mark Price. Blue Devils are coached by Mike Krzyzewski, Jackets by Bobby Crimmins.
Can you imagine Duke University last Saturday had to play number 1 ranked Carolina. Tonight they've got Georgia Tech.
To win it tonight, the way I see it, Duke has definitely got to execute offensively in a half-court game. When you put Goliaths against each other, it negates that transition game. They also need more scoring inside of it. Danny Ferry to help Allery out. Georgia Tech has got to have defensive transition to stop the Duke running game, and they got to get some play out of Craig Neal, because I really believe their backcourt, because of their physical status, might get worn down a little bit by the Duke Blue Devil pressure.
John Sauter, number 22, in the gold of the light uniforms of Georgia Tech, to jump against the freshman Danny Ferry, number 35. John Moreau will toss it up. And it's controlled by Georgia Tech. Other officials, Hank Armstrong, Larry Lembo. That is Mark Price, leading scorer. And an all-American consensus guard.
Man-to-man defense immediately with good pressure from Isle on the wings.
There's Sally over Allery, and it's no good.
Allery matched up on Sally on the inside. Should be an interesting matchup.
Anderson Terrell is on him. Here's Johnny Dawkins, and Price draws him.
Dawkins trying to post inside Jim against Price.
Allery at the top of the key. Ferry's not gone. Now he goes into the low post. He tried to, lost it off his hands, and loses it out of bounds.
It looked like they were trying to establish Ferry, get him involved a little bit offensively as we look at Danny Ferry, number 35, a Parade High School Player of the Year last year as an All-American.
Also USA Today's Player of the Year last year as an All-American. No score. Opening nervous minute. Price with the high arching shot. It is no good, and up is Ferry. Matter of fact, Ferry was standing on both feet with the ball bounded down to him. Here's Dawkins into the corner.
Ferry hasn't been a big scorer, but he leads the club in rebounding, but there's a walking violation by the freshman.
That's 2 turnovers by Ferry. Bobbled the ball out of bounds, and now he walks. This Duke University team has Ferry from Bowie, Maryland, outside of Washington, Falls Church, Tommy Amaker outside of Washington, and Johnny Dawkins from Washington. Here the starting 5 from the capital area. No score yet. That's Sally. Dalrymple. That was into Hammonds, and Ferry makes yet another mistake, reaching in on Tom Hammonds, and draws the first foul.
That's an interesting matchup when you have Hammonds hooked up inside with Ferry. Ferry got all the publicity last year as the high school superstar. Hammonds came out of Crestview, Florida. Didn't come from a great visible program like Danny did. And I'm sure tonight he's out to prove that he's the best freshman in the nation.
That's Dalrymple's first shot. In and out. Nobody's hitting, and now up and in. And that is Farrell.
Dalrymple is not really a good long-range shooter, Jim. He's a tremendous offensive rebounder as we look at one of the rising stars in coaching, Bobby Crimmins.
Now they say Farrell draws the foul by charging and no basket at all. So it's still no score. 18-20 to go.
They got the bigger guy, Dalrymple, playing Tommy Amaker to bother his passing ability.
Quick hands by Mark Price, but too close to Allery. He draws the foul. That's the second foul against Georgia Tech.
Jim, on the top of the show, I was talking about how the game really comes down to being a half-court basketball game. Whenever you pit teams with this kind of athletic ability and talent, they usually negate the great running game where they overpower people. And it gets down to execution in your half-court game.
Amaker, Mallory is loose and no good, and that's Hammond averaging better than 6 rebounds a game with the rebound. Price takes it all the way in, high off the glass, no good. Berry goes for it, still belongs to Georgia Tech.
Not a good shot by Mark Price.
There's Sahi, trying to get by Allery, cannot, and now the ball is put up by Dalrymple, no good. Morrell goes up, no good, still bounding court, Dalrymple.
That's why he's a great
madness under there, and there's the first basket.
Jim, that's why he's a great offensive rebounder. He's so tenacious. Here comes a little UCLA 2-2-1 pressure.
Henderson's first shot. He is murder in the big game. Henderson either leads in rebounding or scoring, or both in top-ranked teams this year. They call him Mr. Clutch. That's a pass right over to Henderson again. Henderson, look at this. Amaker, the feed to Dawkins. It is short. Dawkins gets, whoop, I thought he had it back. Price comes down with it. Price. Are they going to call it on Allery or on Dawkins or on Amaker? In any event, it'll be on Allery. That's his first 2 personal fouls for each team. No shooting fouls yet. It's a 2-2 ball game.
It's typical of 2 big teams clashing. A lot of sloppy basketball early in the contest, Jim. You're seeing some real tough man-to-man defense. Watch the pressure on the ball. Watch how they really play the wing.
Sally takes it in his own hands, but he misses, and there's Henderson with another rebound. There have not been too many good shots tonight. Shot selection, I mean by that. Here's Amaker, and he doesn't get it. And there's Sally for the rebound. And here comes Farrell. There's Dalrymple. He's got 2. Foul call.
Tremendous transition basketball. 3-on-1. They get the ball in the middle of the court. The excellent pass by Dwayne Farrell. He's sort of an unsung hero. There's the great 45-degree angle. He challenges Tommy Amaker, and there's the conversion by Dalrymple.
That's for a 3-point play. Dalrymple 4, Duke 2 so far. And Bruce, a 62% free throw shooter at the line.
Dalrymple, you know, they talked about the difference between Dalrymple and Price. Dalrymple, really the only difference. One kid is black, is from the city. One kid is white, from the country. But in basketball terminology, Jim, they're very similar. They play very tough. They refuse to lose, and they're just tenacious competitors.
5-2. Tech leads Duke. And Henderson almost turned the ball over. Amaker takes the shot from the top of the key. That is no good. Amaker will get the ball back. Almost walks. Berry takes a shot, and that is good. And Danny Berry atones for some of his mistakes in the early going. It's 5-4 Tech.
They're trying to encourage Danny to shoot the ball a little bit more. He's been so unselfish earlier this year. In fact, the last game he was 0 for 2. Only took 2 shots on the floor.
Averaging less than 7 points a game. There's the alley-oop to Sally.
Slam, jam, bam. Up and away, John Sally.
7-4. Henderson takes it all the way in, and he is going to be charged with what? Blocking on Sally, I believe so. Call made there by Hank Armstrong.
I really like the way Duke attacks the 2-2-1. They don't play tentative. They take the ball right to the goal. They play with a lot of authority. A lot of teams like to play tentative against the 2-2-1 press.
15:57 to go. Not a good ball game so far. Tech leads 5-3. Oh, Georgia Tech starting 5, maybe the best starting 5 in the country. Their field goal shooting percentage would certainly rate them that way, Dick.
Jim, I'll tell you what, I can't think of a better starting club in the nation with athletes like those 5. Their shooting, look at their percentages, are awesome. But tonight, there's really no rhythm right now by either club in their offensive sets. And I really believe it's because of the tremendous defense by both teams. And there's the shooting tonight, 33%. You know it'll pick up.
Duke 2 for 6, Tech 3 for 9. Jay Billis replaces Mark Allery, while the Tech lineup remains the same. This is Henderson. That's Amaker. 7-4 the score, Georgia Tech, and we've got 15 minutes and 45 seconds to go. Ferry's going to take the open shot, and he's 2 for 2.
Tell me he's really working on moving a little bit more without the basketball, which has been a big adjustment coming into the collegiate level.
Ball is thrown away, but it went off the hands of a Duke man, and Farrell will toss it in.
It's very obvious that Duke is definitely trying to get Ferry involved offensively, and they should, because he's got a great touch.
Ball is out of bounds. It still belongs to the Yellow Jackets.
There's so much emotion right now. You felt it with the crowd earlier tonight when the teams came out to work out about 2 hours prior to game time. And I really believe that has affected the play on the floor.
Numbers 2 and 3 in the nation. That's Farrell driving, gets the ball away over Ferry. It is no good. Billis thought he had it. Went out of bounds, but over Georgia Tech man. Again, we'll point out the lighting here is the usual Armstrong, or Alexander rather, Memorial Coliseum lighting. There's no darkness that need be adjusted on your set. It's 7-6 Georgia Tech. Duke with a chance to go ahead for the first time. That's Billis, who just came in the game. Injured the first 6 games. And a knee problem.
He had knee surgery last year. Very serious knee injury.
Ferry moving in the low post. Sally leading all over him. Now Henderson gets away a tough shot, and it's going to go in.
He's a money player, as you talked about earlier, Jim, a clutch performer. He was the MVP of the preseason Big Apple NIT tournament, a clutch player.
Hammonds, the freshman. Tech had the lead. Hammonds gets it back, or rather Duke had the lead. Hammonds gets it back to Tech.
Hammonds got the prototype power forward body, really starred in a national sports festival. Jim, I think he's going to be one great collegian.
His statistics, Dick, as you pointed out, so much better than Ferry's just shooting, who just missed that shot. A push call against Georgia Tech.
No, they got the foul on Billis, Jim.
I'm sorry. On 21. And Sally will toss it in. Now let's see. Amaker goes to the bench, and Billy King comes in for him. Number 55, a sophomore. 6'6". Still no changes for Georgia Tech. Farrell was not ready for that batted back pass to him. Allery has come in. Ferry has gone out, so Allery and Billis are in there. Ferry is out.
Change also in the backcourt with Dawkins playing Price defensively.
Tech by 1. Dalrymple takes the shot. No good, and there's Billis with a rebound.
Good inside position by Billis.
Johnny Dawkins, high off the glass, no good. Allery is there, keeps the ball. Whoop, batted away by Sally. Shot taken by number 12, David Henderson, who now has 6 points, and it's 10-9. Duke.
Sally really closes off that lane with his great shot blocking ability.
Price goes up. Henderson comes down with it for Duke. Tries to pass the away. Expecting Georgia Tech man. Shot taken by Dawkins, no good. Here comes Georgia Tech. Farrell, oh my. They're going to call blocking or charging.
It's a block right now. Jim, there's really not good transition basketball by either club. They're not centering the ball. They're not getting it to cutters. Really not a good play. There's the hang in the air. They get the block on him.
That's Billis, his second foul. Henderson goes out. Amaker has come back in with Dawkins. Allery is in there. King is in there. And Billis.
King is a defensive player. When Dawkins has to play the point, he is not the same player that he is when he's playing the number 2 guard, where he has the freedom to think shot rather than think pass. He really needs Tommy Amaker on the floor. They go so well together.
Wayne Farrell misses the first. Tied here and does tie to 10 apiece.
He played at Calvert Hall out in your neck of the woods in Maryland. They were number 1 in the nation in high school basketball. Had a teammate named Mark Wilson who stars for Minnesota.
13-15 left first half. Duke and Georgia Tech both in the top 3 of the country, and we're tied at 10. There's Allery all the way in, no good, followed by King, no good. Hammonds comes down with a rebound.
They made a great entry inside to Allery. He just didn't deliver the deuce, but it was a great entry.
Price. Oh, King mistimed his leap, and now let's see, they're tied up. Well tied up and will belong to Duke.
Jim, both guys seem to be moving very effectively to me. He's not scoring right now, Mark. Mark's really struggling a little bit with his shot, and that could be from the fact that he hasn't shot for 2 days, has not worked out at all, but he seems to be moving laterally and up and down okay on that ankle.
Dalrymple, another one who has not practiced this week. As Dawkins along the baseline goes up with the ball, and a foul is called. And by Larry Lembo, and it's on John Sally, and that's his second.
Look at that crossover baseline drive. Great explosive move. He hangs in the air. He's got that cat-like quickness.
Consensus All-American, consensus most valuable player of Duke as a freshman.
He was my preseason All-American selection along with Mark Price on my All-Rolls-Royce team. But if I had to select today, I'd have to put Steve Alford on that club with Johnny Dawkins right now, giving him the edge over Price based on productivity at this stage of the season.
Dawkins has his first 2 points, 12-10 Duke. And here's Mark Price, an Amaker on him.
Let's drive him, beat him, turn him. Nobody plays the ball tougher than Tommy Amaker. Look at him trying to set a screen. Notice how he gets his head right on the ball.
Loose of Amaker, takes it in, feeds it off, and Hammonds with a slam dunk. And the freshman now has 4 points.
A vicious slam dunk, but that was created by the innovator himself, Mark Price. Not with blinding speed, just heady play, outstanding innovative play by Price.
Tied at 12. Danny Ferry getting ready to come back in for Duke.
Notice the man-to-man defense.
Dalrymple did a job there on Amaker, and now Price kicks it out of bounds.
Dalrymple's got the great hands defensively. Jim, I announced yesterday with Bob Lee, my defensive demon team, and this guy Dalrymple was on my first team. He tries to drive the bounce pass to Price. Hey, those 2 guys, do they look hurt to you? They look like they're ready to play.
You bet. Dave Billis goes out. Danny Ferry comes in. Mike Krzyzewski continues to alternate. Georgia Tech has yet to make a single substitution. There's Ferry, just came in, taking the turnaround, and no good. Dalrymple with the rebound. Here comes Mark Price.
Georgia Tech rotated into a 2-3 zone, which is very rare.
Burrell loses the ball, but Dalrymple picks it up. And coming out is Ferry, grabbing it away from Sally to Dawkins. What a move around Hammonds. Dawkins has his first basket.
He's got more moves than Chiquita Banana, Jim. What a move by Johnny Dawkins. He explodes. I love that quickness. You can't teach that.
14-12 Duke. 11:20 to go in the half. Price, ball goes off the foot of one man. Dawkins has got a snowbird right there. 2 straight baskets for Dawkins, 6 points overall, and the biggest lead of the night for Duke, 4 points.
Most guys would have tried to slam dunk that, but he's smart. Conserves his energy, knows he needs it the entire game, just goes in and makes the easy layup. No showtime.
Each team has lost only 1. Underneath, Dalrymple on the feed from Hammond.
They do a great job running what we call, Jim, a high-low action. The ball goes to the high post. They rotate one of their strong athletes, Dalrymple, along the baseline and get the deuce.
Bruce Dalrymple now with 7 points. Lead everybody in scoring. King from the top of the key. No good.
Not a good
Sally
shooter.
with the rebound.
Jim, he's not a good shooter. You don't want him shooting that perimeter jump shot. He's a good defensive player.
Well, with that, Henderson gets up and is about to come back in, I would assume, for King. Up, Dalrymple. That's 4 baskets plus a foul shot, 9 points and 16 all.
Dalrymple says, hey, you want a big-time player, a B-tier? Move Sally, move all these guys over. I'm coming to get the spotlight tonight. 2-3 zone, Jim, which is very rare for Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech has had the last 3 ACC rookies of the year, and in Tom Hammonds, they may have yet another. But Ferry puts it up, and it is no good. And Ferry is going to be called.
I really believe Mike Krzyzewski needs a timeout to settle down in attacking the zone defense right now because they're struggling a little bit against the zone defense.
Well, time has been called. 10:03 to go. Couldn't want anything better in terms of score. It's tied.
Notice the defensive stance in Tommy Amaker. This is why I love him. He puts tremendous pressure on the ball. He pops the ball loose out of Price's hands. Price comes back with a great crossover dribble, makes the front change. He stays down. He finds the open man. There's Hammonds with the slam jam bammer, but it was really created by the great penetration of Price. Now watch Dawkins. Look at this speed right now. Now he hangs. He knows Hammonds is there. He slices his body as a slasher and converts it and scores. He's going to be an outstanding NBA player, running up and down in the 24-second clock.
There's your shooting percentage, both 7 for 18. Both had 3 turnovers. Tech 10 rebounds, Duke 12. Alarie, Henderson, Ferry, Amaker, and Dawkins for Georgia. For Duke, Georgia Tech has made a change. We see that Craig Neal has come in, and Dalrymple has gone out. Price remains in. Oh, Dalrymple is also in. And let's see whom they've taken out. There's Sally. They've taken out Farrell.
They ran a back screen. They threw the ball up to Sally. Excellent timing, but credit the pass by Noodles himself, Craig Neal. And he's getting his crowd fired up. Look at him at the top of the point. He's going bananas, Craig Neal.
6 straight points for Tech. They lead by 2. Henderson. And that is Dalrymple. And here comes Craig, the new man on the block, replacing Farrell. Hammonds forces the shot, but the results are great. He's got 6 points.
Jim, he's an excellent 12-foot shooter. He just has to become a little bit more aggressive on the boards and become a better defensive player, but that will happen with game experience.
8 in a row, and now Alarie breaks that skeen at 8 with his first basket of the night. It's 20-18 Tech.
Alarie's an outstanding long-range shooter and also a good inside player.
Whistle blows, and I think we've got a technical against the Duke bench. If so, that'll be a couple of shots. And Mark Price, who had a 84% shooting percentage last year, down to 79 this year, misses the first.
I don't know what the technical was about, but also in the North Carolina game, a technical turned that entire tide. When Tommy Amaker got his 3rd foul, they were on a plus side, and then all of a sudden, North Carolina went into high gear. Mike Krzyzewski, a disciple of Bobby Knight.
I don't know whether it's against Mike or somebody on his bench, but it's a 2-shot. We understand it is on Mike Krzyzewski. Okay. They gave up a point, and Tech's got the ball leading by 3. I don't recall Mark Price missing practically ever. Obviously, he missed some last year. The ball almost slapped away by Sally.
It shows you, Jim, no matter how good of a shooter you are, you got to get out there on a regular basis. This kid has been out shooting the basketball. Has been missing rather the last 3 days.
Alarie saved something there. He got a hand in. Ball was going in underneath, and Alarie knocked it out of bounds. 118, 8:37 to go in the half. Live from Alexander Memorial Coliseum. Oh, Price steps right on Amaker and drops it through. His first basket, believe it or not, 3 points.
He's a very emotional player also. He's made a big adjustment in his game from his freshman year when he was a scoring guard to playing the lead guard slot.
Tech by 5. Billis getting ready to come back in. There's Ferry, and wow, that looked like it had no chance at all. But Danny Ferry's not got 6 points.
He's very aggressive and active on the offensive end tonight, something he hasn't been all year.
Nice driving, and forced out of bounds.
Jim, there's a difference between being a point guard, a pure point guard, a la Tommy Amaker, and a lead guard like Mark Price. Price is a better scorer, and he thinks a little bit more score, where Amaker's constantly thinking pass and getting it to the shooter at the right time.
Price is 1 for 5 from the field, off the hands of Sally there. And here's a pass ball to Dawkins, and that ball is slammed away by Hammonds. And here goes Dalrymple, showtime!
Little pizzazz, just like on the streets of New York City. It's high-five time here at Alexander Coliseum.
That is 11 points for Bruce Dalrymple. He's averaging 12 for the game on the year. That belongs to Duke.
Jim, as I was talking to Mike Krzyzewski today, I said, Mike, as we look at Bobby Cremins, the silver-haired guy from out of the streets, New York also, I really believe the one ingredient that separates them from all the other top teams is not having a shot blocker like John Sally. Great timing by John Sally with the block right here. Excellent timing. He gets it off the glass. They keep it in play. There's the quick pitch out to Dalrymple, and there's the slam jam we talked about.
Of the last 17 points, 13 have been by Tech.
There's a great example of Mark Price moving without the basketball, which is a great asset. He runs people into screens all the time, Jim. He's constant motion when the ball is out of his hands. And that's something a lot of players do not do. Everybody likes to bounce the ball, but the great players move so well without it, and he does that.
I'll give you something else, Dick. On all the turnovers that Duke has gotten from Georgia Tech, they failed to score. On the turnovers that Georgia Tech has gotten from Duke, they've come up with 8 points.
And that's usually very unusual for Duke because Duke really lives off their transition game created by their defense.
Billis, and is he fouled by the new man in there? And Ford, rather. I think he's going to put up 44, and that's what it is. Ford has just come in.
They have to
and the man that has gone out, I'm looking, is Hammonds.
They have to get some basketball out of Antoine Ford. They can't rely on their starting cast the way they have earlier this year if they're going to really be a threat to win the entire national championship. They play 5 people almost exclusively, Jim.
Billis with his first point. In and out, and that is Sally, who is in there with Farrell, Price, Craig, and Ford. So now, for the first time, Bobby Cremins makes wholesale substitutions.
Look at the way
Craig with Amaker on him.
Amaker really makes you work, Jim, when you have the basketball.
Oh, what a play there. Sally now has 6 points.
His stock is going up and up in this basketball game. He's been like a Dow Joneser this year, up and down.
Henderson, Amaker could not penetrate.
That 2-3 zone has really been bothering Duke. They got to get in the gaps a little more.
That is no good. Phillips goes up for it, no good. Still up for grabs. Farrell, and Henderson comes down with it. He'll take the shot. It'll be short. No good, and here's Ford with the ball. Ford, by the way, is 7 feet tall. It is a 6-point lead for Tech as Craig Neal goes in and puts it underneath the legs and out of bounds of Farrell. And another foul has been called.
Neal was a medical redshirt last year, Jim. He had a wrist. He broke his wrist, his right wrist, and he's come back this year, and he has not performed like they're really expecting. They really have high hopes in Craig Neal, and Bobby Cremins is counting on him to give him some real positive minutes off the bench.
Foul was on Craig Neal, his first, and Billy King has replaced Johnny Dawson.
There's the 2-3 zone. The wing should be open right here. You should be able to drive it to the middle and get the wing jump shot. They got to show a little bit more patience against that zone. There's
Mallory. Yes.
That's the wing jump shot, Jim. If you drive it at the seam against the 2 people on top, get them to converge to the basketball, the wings are wide open.
4-point lead, 27-23 Georgia Tech, 6:15 to go in the half. Craig Neal with the ball. Price has played the entire game. Playing a lot of it. Sally has played the entire game. Sally's got the ball now. And here's Neal.
Excellent inside-outside action. The ball goes into the post. They kick it right back out to the open Neal. Neal is an excellent shooter.
Henderson. Nope. King goes up. Nope. Neal's got the rebound. Price feeds Sally off the hands of Ford coming down the lane. And a whistle blows. Going to be on Billy King. Nope, they're coming the other way.
Ford was a little surprised when he received that pass from John Sally.
That's Ford, his second. Whatever happened as Hammonds comes back into the old days when the foul is called on you, you put your hand up.
Makes it a little bit easier, huh?
Well, now you got to look across and see what they're signaling to the opposite bench.
It's so dark in here, it's tough to see anything. I'm blind to start with.
All right, Price comes out for the first time. Dalrymple comes in for him. Neal remains in. Farrell is in. Ford is in. And Hammonds is in. And Sally is out for the first time.
What an amazing story what Bobby Cremins has done here with this Georgia Tech program. In fact, you know, I talked about last week on our Dial Dick Vitale show. We have 2 amazing stories in the 80s. Dave Gavitt marketing the Big East and Gene Bartow in the UAB program. I think you got to put Bobby Cremins in here, Jim, as you and I were talking today. This program was 4-23 when he arrived and an absolute doormat, and he's just been beautiful here in Atlanta.
At the beginning of the 84 season, 42-9. Billis hits both. Tech has now upped its field goal percentage to 54%. Duke is still down at 38%. It's a 4-point lead for Tech with 5.5 minutes to go in the first half.
Billis gives him some good strength inside. He's a very strong player, experienced player, and he has a good touch also.
There's Hammonds back in. Both coaches resting their men where they can.
Constantly play man-to-man, pressure on the ball, denial on the wings. They block out. They beat cutters to the ball. Very aggressive team on the defensive end.
15 seconds on the shot clock, and Farrell takes the shot. And Farrell's got his first basket and a total of 3 points.
Duke player got really bumped on a screen, and Farrell was open. He shot 8 for 10 against Cliff Ellis's Clemson team. He's a very dangerous player when you concentrate on the likes of Sally and Price.
There's Billis. The ball is knocked away, but not before a foul is called. Farrell draws a foul. That's his second.
Henderson with a good pass inside to the strong Jay Billis. He's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of basketball. He's got the great body. He wants to get in television, Jim. I'll tell you, he's a good-looking stud.
Here's Billis back at the line, 3 for 4. After Tech won on an 11-2 run, Dick, each team has swapped baskets the last 9 times. Whoops, is he going to go in? Yes, he's going to go in. Henry Dawkins, the leading scorer tonight, has a total of 6 points and is taking away. Billis not doing a great job there. Another foul call from across the way by John Moreau. That is Henderson, and that's his first, but it's 1-1.
I talked about earlier Bobby Cremins certainly being one of the rising stars of coaching, and he really is. You know, we hear about Dean Smith and Bob Knight. I really believe when you talk about some rising guys in coaching, you got Mike Krzyzewski doing a tremendous job down at Duke under a lot of pressure and a tough conference. Andy Russo, to me, is another guy out at the University of Washington. Gary Williams out of Boston College, and certainly Gene Cady out of Purdue University.
Tech is now 4 for 6 from the line, and Antoine Ford is now 9 for 13, makes that 10 for 14 from the line. This year, 7-point lead. That's the biggest. And it's for Georgia Tech. 4:45 to go.
Look at Neal. Look at Neal firing up the crowd. The guy at the top of the zone. I mean, he's a little hot dog. Get some mustard on him. I love that, though. I love enthusiastic players.
King, it is short, and Allery puts it up in. Good, powerful play by Mark Allery.
Well, Jim, he sealed off the defensive player, and he used the basket as a weapon. Look at Cremins on the sideline. I mean, this is all Wacko world, Jim, right now.
5-point lead here. Feed underneath, and that is Dalrymple. And Dalrymple has a 6th basket and 13 points.
Great body control, but an excellent pass off penetration by Neal. He's clapping his hands at the top of the point. They rotate out of the zone and go back to man-to-man.
Henderson driving, has no shot. Whistle blows. Pushing off his call. Danny Ferris getting ready to come back in. That was on Farrell. That is 3 for him. Ferry replaces Billis.
I really believe with the great size that Georgia Tech has that they're better off at times as Price comes on the floor, especially with Price's physical status and Dalrymple's. Remember, they haven't practiced, might have a little fatigue down the stretch. I think they're better off playing a zone, Jim, at times to give their players a little bit of a rest, especially since they use them so exclusively.
That's Ferry. Ball knocked away by Price. Diving for it is King. And it'll belong to Georgia Tech. 7-point lead for Georgia Tech. Duke lost to Carolina last Saturday in the ACC. After 16 straight wins, they're down by 7 here. 3:56 to go. Bobby Cremins' team leading 35-8. Alexandria Memorial Coliseum, Georgia Tech, Atlanta, Florida, and Georgia Tech and Duke, numbers 2, 3 in the nation. Georgia Tech at the moment, all with the better of it, not the best of it, Dick, because it's 41-37. And let's go back to the beginning. You were talking about backcourt. Let us take Duke's backcourt first. Tommy Amaker, 0 for 5. Johnny Dawkins, 2 for 5. 6 points, including the foul shots for the backcourt of Duke with Amaker shut out.
First of all my waves were messed up, Jim, and I had to get them in place. But, you know, you talk about the backcourt. They've really done a great job. As far as Amaker's concerned, you don't look for scoring out of Amaker. But I think they've done a tremendous job of negating Johnny Dawkins. And the reason for that is they've really taken away the running game of Duke. We watch right here defensively. I mean, it's amazing. Look at the defensive effort by Price. There he is beating Dawkins to the spot. Dawkins is a very active player without the ball, but Price doesn't quit. Most people right now would quit. He fronts him down inside, doesn't allow him to get the basketball. That's just a tremendous defensive effort, and that's a clinic on how to play a guy without the ball.
Talking about Mike Price denying Johnny Dawkins, as we said, he is 2 for 5. He is their leading scorer, but Price also has been scoring himself, except most of it has been from the foul line because Mark Price is only 2 of 8 from the floor.
We talked about Price's problem, really, I believe, is the fact that he hasn't had the opportunity to practice. And shooters are like tennis players, golfers. You got to get out there on a regular basis and stroke it. And he hasn't had that opportunity because of his ankle injury. But he's doing so many other things on the floor. Dalrymple has been the star of stars in the first half. We watch Dalrymple now in transition. That's a little showtime. It brings the house down. He's up in the sky. He's really not a great jumper, but he's so pumped up. His groin injury's a thing of the past. The adrenaline's flowing, and he's just ready to perform.
13 points and a handful of rebounds for Dalrymple. Well, there's a 4-point difference in these two ball clubs with 20 minutes to play. And we'll watch in a moment. ESPN's college basketball. Tonight's game is being brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. To arrange a thorough test drive, simply phone your nearest BMW dealer. And by the financial professionals at PaineWebber Incorporated. Sellout crowd, 41-37, Georgia Tech at home leads over Duke. And a match of the ACC Giants. Of course, Carolina lurks at the top of the standings, waiting for both. They've already knocked off Duke. They get Georgia Tech twice within about a week or so, later on at the end of this month, beginning of next. And I guess, Dick Vitale, when you take a look at the stats there, you look at field goal percentage, even though Duke has brought theirs up a bit.
Well, the really only thing that's really different is the field goal percentage efficiency. As we look at Duke only shooting 43%, which is very unusual. They're a 52% team. Everything else is basically equal. I'm really surprised that they've really played Georgia Tech even on the glass. John Wooden, the greatest coach of all time, has always stressed the importance of shooting the basketball, how it gives you such a plus defensively as well as offensively, and that is really the problem here for Duke. They have not been able to get good execution in their half-court game and attacking the defenses of Georgia Tech.
Mike Krzyzewski's team, 43%. Bobby Crimmon's team, 52% from the floor, but that is below their average of about 57%. Duke has a quick chance here to draw within 2 to start the second half. Amaker, Ferry, Henderson, Dawkins, and Allery. Dalrymple, Farrell, Hammonds, Sally, and Price. Henderson from the side, and there's a big rebound there by Farrell.
Farrell's a tremendous athlete. He's very smooth, got great legs.
All belongs to Duke again.
That was a sideline fast break, and they tried to get the entry down into the post, into Sally. That was planned during the halftime.
Duke never got more than 4 points in a row in the entire first half. They'll have to do something about that. Here comes Dawkins, and it's tipped in by Allery.
Nobody blocks Allery out. An interesting matchup, Jim. They're playing Farrell now on Tommy Amaker, and that is really unusual.
Farrell also playing Amaker with 3 personal fouls on him. 2-point game with nearly the entire half to go.
He's the one player they can't afford to lose. When they put him on the sideline, they're a different club. They're like a beautiful Rolls Royce with no engine when Amaker's out of the game.
Rebounding on the offensive boards, Duke has picked up 14 points. Farrell can't get the ball away. Brought down, well, underneath is Farrell.
I really like
Dawkins thought he had it. Price had it, dribbled away. Farrell comes up with it, and he now has 5 points.
He's one of the rookies of the year that Georgia Tech has had. They've had 3 in a row. When you talk about Price, Dalrymple, and Farrell, and it looks like they're going to get the fourth with Tom Hammonds, the ACC.
Allery had a basket and now adds another. And that's 12 points for Allery, 4 in this half.
Defensive mistake.
Look at Henderson. He's going to take the shot. No good. And it's going to belong to Amaker and Duke. And now they should slow it down and wait for the rest of the team to get down the floor.
Georgia Tech poor defensively and playing Allery, allowing him to flash to the ball.
Dawkins, they left him alone. That's a mistake. And it's a tie game at 43.
He's a tremendous athlete, Johnny Dawkins. I was just talking to several NBA scouts, and they're looking for him to go in the top 6 or 7 of the NBA draft.
Price loses the ball. Does not hit the sidelines, however. How many times have you seen Mark Price lose a ball on a dribble? Not often. And we'll point out what Dick did. They not practiced it Saturday, Dalrymple. And now Dalrymple slips because of slight injury. Hammonds to Sally, and he puts it up and misses the ball. Berry jumps in for it. Battle for it. Price gets it. Berry over to Amaker. Dawkins pulls up short, and no good. Allery is there, and it belongs to Duke.
Right now, Duke has established in the early part of the second half complete charge here in the first 2.5 minutes, both on the offensive and defensive end. They've really come out and played some tough defense.
Henderson, that's partially blocked. And there's Sally down with it. 2-on-1, Price. All the way. 9 points for Price.
Tremendous transition play. We watched a 7-footer from out of Canarsie High School in Brooklyn, New York, who wasn't heavily recruited, John Sally, wheel out off the glass with the dribble and make the good play.
Sally's been buddy back home. It's made by Earl Washington. All knocked away by Hammonds, and he may have drawn the foul as a result. And he has. That's his first.
They try to jam the ball inside to Allery, and there's the foul, reaching over the back. Allery does a good job posting inside. He's got some of the quickest feet, Jim. When you rate a player and evaluate a player for the draft, you like to check his footwork. And he's got excellent footwork, Mark Allery.
Tech by 2. Berry with the ball. Berry, double team, gets the ball back to Amaker. Back in toward Allery, but it went off Sally and out of bounds.
Not good rhythm here, trying to jam it in, forcing the action. The big play right here that I see for Georgia Tech has been the fact that they've negated Duke's running game.
Danny Ferry, though he wanted to shoot, but Sally did a good job on him. Price on Dawkins. Dawkins takes the shot. No good off the front. And that is Farrell down with the rebound. And Farrell almost lost the ball, but gets over to Hammonds, and it goes out of bounds.
Good defense.
Sloppy play by Georgia Tech.
Sloppy play, but we got to credit the defensive transition of Duke. Did a great job getting back. Bobby Cremins shakes his head and says, hey, that's not what we practice. We don't run our break and transition like that.
Remember, Duke started out with 2 quick turnovers in the first half by Ferry. They have a total of 6. Tech has 10 now.
The reason Farrell is playing Amaker is to bother him as a passer with his great size, and it put Dalrymple on Henderson.
Allery over Hammonds, no good. Hammonds comes down with a rebound.
There's a lot of coaching going on by both coaches.
Foul is on Henderson, who is on the floor, and for David, that's his 3rd.
We're not seeing really good interior passing, Jim. We're not seeing guys with the sharp touch pass, overpassing the basketball, putting a little bit too much speed to it.
Well, throws it in toward Dalrymple.
No backcourt violation for those that wanted a backcourt. You're allowed to throw it back to the inbounds.
5-2, Price takes it in. Underneath, what a feed to Sally.
That's just great team basketball, 2-man basketball. That's the 3D man. You drive, you draw the defense, and then you dish the hoop.
Well, right back where we started from at the end of the half, a 4-point lead by Tech. Price now has 3 assists. Amaker has no points, takes it all the way and has his first 2. Good drive.
He heard you right there. We got an injured player.
Hold it. A little slow in getting up is Mark Price. And stunned a little bit. Let's watch it.
You look at the front change by Tommy Amaker. There he is now hanging in the air. Price comes over a little bit late, trying to draw the charge. Good no call right there. His right ankle is the injured ankle.
15:35 left. Georgia Tech again up by 4. Yellow Jackets 47, Blue Devils now 40. A doubleheader, Clemson and South Carolina in a shootout in the state of South Carolina. And North Carolina State at Maryland. And wasn't Maryland surprised by Virginia over the weekend? Now here is Mark Price, a great play to South.
He penetrates inside. He draws the defense, and there's the agile, mobile Mr. Sally. Along with Roy Tarpley, John Sally have become just super players as we look at the percentages. 75 in the second half for Georgia Tech early, and Duke with 36%. Both guys, Tarpley from Michigan and Sally, were not heavily recruited athletes, but through the great work ethic have made themselves into megabuck players for the future.
15.5 minutes to go in the game between the two teams that are 2 and 3 in the country, and Tech has a 2-point lead. And Allery steals the ball away, and that's going to be
over and back.
He went back with it and started to come back, knocked the ball back, and that's backcourt. And so Duke has a chance to tie it up, and Tech now has 5 more turnovers than has. Now we've got that wrong there. Tech has 5 more. You had Duke 11 there, folks. Tech's got 11 turnovers. Duke 6.
They rotate during the timeout back into the zone defense. 2-3, forcing Duke to shoot the perimeter jump shot.
King puts it up and in. I'll tell you, surprise, Dick. 3 of the 11 Tech turnovers have been by Mark Price.
He's got to really be shocked right there with that score, Mike Krzyzewski, because Billy King is not what we call a good scorer. The scouting report says excellent defensive player and not an offensive threat.
There's Hammonds, and there's Allery with a good rebound, and the Blue Devils look a lot better in the second half than in the first. They tied at 47. They can go ahead. Feet underneath, and King takes the shot, followed by Dawkins.
Wave it off.
Oh, they're waving it off. And they'll call a foul on Dawkins.
He came over the back, Jim. He's got the great hands, the athletic ability we've talked about, the quickness, but he definitely came over the back. Watch number 24 now. Watch Johnny Dawkins. I mean, he flies over Dalrymple's back, and he says, hey, Dalrymple's a great offensive rebounder, Mr. Referee. Let me offensive rebound. There's a brick by Billy King, and there is right now the offensive. I mean, he definitely came over his back.
That's his first foul. Johnny Dawkins, 47 off. Dalrymple, what a game he has had. What a player he is. Price from way outside, off the front of the rim. Amaker with the rebound, kicked out of bounds by Mark Price, trying to steal the ball back.
Jim, when you talk about Duke's defense, there are 4 elements to it, like Bob Knight teaches down at Indiana. Mike, who played for Bob Knight, learned them. 1, they pressure the ball. 2, they deny on the wings of what we call ball you man. 3, they beat the cutters to the ball. And 4, they block out on every assignment. And that's why they're a good defensive team, especially without a great shot blocker inside.
Dave Billis has replaced Danny Ferry. 47 all, remember. Score hasn't changed the last 2 times down the play. Amaker, who has 1 in this, tries for another. Hammonds with the rebound above Billis.
Amaker's really pressing on that jump shot, and he has to hit that jump shot to bring that defense out a little bit, to stretch it out.
Feet underneath. And they say the ball belongs to Duke. Tipped away on its way, and Henderson comes back in. Amaker, as you said, Dick, forcing a shot, is replaced by Henderson.
Good coaching move by Mike Krzyzewski. Going to sit him down for a couple of minutes, get Dawkins to play the point. Georgia Tech likes to get a triangle inside and really get the people on the boxes down in the low post the ball after guard. There they are, right down in the boxes.
All right, there's the 5th turnover in this half for Georgia Tech in their 12th of the game. Duke has none in this half. Oh, look, Henderson is all by himself and missed everything. There's Farrell beating off and out of bounds. Off the hands of Billy King, it belongs to Tech.
Jim, earlier in the year when they had that big matchup between Michigan and Georgia Tech, it really wasn't very smooth basketball, a lot of defense, and we're seeing the same thing here. Anytime you put teams with these quality of athletes, I believe you're going to see a lot of subpar shooting.
Tom Hammonds has 6 rebounds, the freshman, and Tech has called timeout. Simpson with Dick Vitale in Atlanta. Once this game is over, you'll be able to dial Dick Vitale There's the number if you're around the country except in Connecticut, 1-800-243-0006. If you're in Connecticut, 1-800-854-9489. Ask some questions about tonight's game or anything in collegiate basketball.
Take a look right now, the Duke defense. They're playing man-to-man, head up on the basketball, a lot of pressure on the ball. There's the pressure. A lot of concentration. Try to deny on the wings.
No substitutions during that timeout for either team. There is Sally shooting over Billups.
That's that
10
inside.
points for Sally.
Jim, that's that inside attack I'm talking about, down on the low boxes. They really rotate really well. They get good post position, and they utilize their personnel very effectively.
King can't get the ball past Farrell. Bad pass trying to reach Billups underneath.
Wayne Farrell with any other team in America would be a star player. Over here, he has to play as a complimentary player, but he's got star potential. There's the boxes, Jim. They're just jamming it inside.
And that is Hammonds, and a foul is called. And that'll be Billy King, and that'll be his second.
Billy King's an excellent role player. There's Henderson saying, look, deny him the ball, let him put it to the floor. If he puts it to the floor, we're going to attack him. He says, I understand. I understand. Don't get nervous, Mr. Henderson.
Well, why don't you do it, Billy King?
They're one of the rare teams to play man-to-man on the inbounds of the basketball.
Oh, a foul on Sally, and that'll be number 3.
On the screen, Jim. Most teams like the zone on the inbounds. They catch Sally screening inside. Cremins doesn't like it from out of All Hallows High School in New York City. Doesn't like the call.
King.
They ran a double screen to try and get the ball to
Allery, good-looking shot. Allery has 6 points in this half, 14 altogether. We're tied at 49.
Allery's having himself a good year this year. Last year, he played almost exclusively on a perimeter. This year, they're utilizing him in both areas, inside and outside.
Lots of time, 11 minutes, 40 seconds left.
Georgia Tech relies a lot on getting good angles in their passing entries from the wing.
Can't be disappointed in this game. There's Price, and that's a good-looking shot. Price now has 11 points.
And the Price family explodes in Enid, Oklahoma, where his young brother Brent is going to be the next star in the Price family. Only a junior and an outstanding talent.
I'm not going to say the Price is right, but I did. There's Allery off the glass, and that's good. And Allery's hot in this half, 8 in this half, 16 altogether, and it's 51 to 40, well, 51-51, and in comes Danny Ferry. And let's see who goes out. Allery goes out after that basket.
There's Allery posted inside. He demonstrates his great versatility. Good pump fake to freeze the defensive player. Lays it on the glass. Jim, the last possession, he shot the open jump shot from 18 feet. I see all the pro scouts scribbling that down, getting excited. Inside, outside, Allery.
And after there was 8 quick points, he was taken out, but he's getting ready to come back in. Price goes back in, and they're going to say Billy King pushed him off. His second foul of this half is third altogether, and Allery comes back in. Let's see who will get the rest this time. Ferry, who relieved him, or Billups? It is King who goes out. So Allery, Billups, and Ferry, that's a big lineup they've got in there.
Dawkins getting a little rest right here also. Price is such a gutty kid. Bobby Cremins said today, there's no way he's not going to want to play that ankle. He's such a tough competitor. You know, Jim, I was asked to compare Mark Price in Eastern basketball with William Pearl Washington. I don't think it's a contest. I think it's an NC, no contest, an M&M or a mismatch on the collegiate level as to whom I would like. I'd like Mark Price because he's going to do it every night. But on a pro level, I really believe Pearl's going to be the better NBA player because of the 24-second clock, the transition game. But every team would want a Mark Price on its roster because he's such a competitor and he comes to play every night with some very good skills as well.
13 points for Mark Price. Craig Neal replaces Farrell. Allery's come back in. Henderson goes backcourt, so he'll have Ferry and Billups and Allery up front. And Amaker and Henderson in the back, and there's a feed into Henderson, who's to the low post, and the ball is taken away from him. That was Dalrymple, and there's the long feed to Hammond. Russians load up to Price. Look out.
Count it. When he gets the rhythm going and he gets that shot flowing, he's devastating. He could dominate a game from the guard slot.
4-point lead, Tech, 10:20 to go.
What electricity, Jim. You can just feel this place ready to explode. Big possession right here. They need a score to quiet this crowd.
Ball is knocked out of bounds by Dalrymple. Same margin as it was at the beginning of the second half. 4 points. Tech leading. Dawkins is coming back in. Phillips will go out. Farrell is coming back in. And Price gets a rest.
He's limping, Jim. He's really limping on that ankle. For the first time I've seen him limp as he goes to the sideline.
Tech is shooting 67% in this half. Lead to Henderson, and Dalrymple ties him up and draws the foul. And Bruce is playing such outstanding ball. That is his first foul, despite all his great defensive play.
He's such a tough defensive player, but Henderson is such a clutch performer. As we talked about earlier, the MVP in that Big Apple preseason NIT, where they beat some outstanding teams like Lamar, University of Alabama, Birmingham, St. John's, and Kansas. And he was the MVP. And remember, Walter Berry was brilliant in that classic.
First quarter of this half for David Henderson, 7 altogether. 55-52. Duke is 8 for 11 on the line. And Henderson adds yet another one.
This is great NCAA basketball as we look at Price, because we're talking about 2 great schools academically. These are really what you talk about in NCAA competition. Student athletes, what it's all about. Most of these kids will definitely graduate, and that's what college basketball to me should be all about.
Neal stepping around. Dawkins off the glass. Ray Neal has his first basket of this half. 6 altogether.
He's been solid goal off the bench, Jim. And look at him pumping the crowd up.
He is 3 for 3 from the floor.
I can see why Bobby Clemens loves the kid. He plays with such enthusiasm.
Dawkins has the ball. Taken away. Here comes Neal. On the drive. And to Dalrymple.
Timeout. Get a timeout, Mike. They're ready to blow you out of here. Get a TO.
He did. 6-point lead. 9:11 to go. Greg Neal and Dalrymple have led the way. 59-53 Tech.
He's really been the star, Jim. He has played just superb basketball. Look at him right here. The kid from out of New York City who played his high school at St. John's Berry out in Vermont, where he just absolutely electrified the people up in Vermont. They never seen a talent like Mr. Dalrymple, and the crowd is just typical ACC competition. Tremendous spirit, enthusiasm, and great basketball.
9:11 to go. At one time, this game was tied at 51 all. Since then, Tech has scored 8 points, Duke only 2. You can see the percentages by half. Duke still in the 40s and the low 40s at that. 6-point lead, biggest lead in some time, the biggest lead of the game on 3 separate occasions, 7 by Georgia Tech.
Look at Neal working defensively right now. He's got great size on Tommy Amaker to try and shut down the passing lanes.
Ferry takes the shot in and out. Dalrymple knocks it away, but Amaker comes down with it for Duke.
This is one of the must possessions right now for Duke.
Well, King cut it off the hands of Mallory, and it belongs to Dalrymple.
Telegraph the pass inside. Dalrymple always comes up, it seems, with every loose ball. He has that great nose we talked about, Jim. Lacks a lot of great skills in terms of ball handling and shooting.
Well, that's the first time that Neal has missed. He is now 3 for 4 from the line.
Dalrymple has a W on his chest. Superman has an S, but he has a W for winner.
Ferry feeds in. That's a bad pass there. Fed it into 3 different men. And Ferry draws the foul. That's his 3rd. Bad pass, then bad foul.
Duke right now in their offensive set, they're not getting enough movement offensively without the ball, and they're not moving the ball enough. So they're telegraphing all their passes, and Georgia Tech is just simply playing the passing lanes. Let's watch Price carefully. He was really limping. He's dragging that 1 foot, Joe. He is dragging a foot. Look at him.
Sally.
Price on 1 foot is better than most players on 2.
Field Amaker on him. 8 minutes left in this game. Price on the feed to Farrell, who misses. Now let's see if they allow the Farrell basket. 5, that's his 4th. Basket does count.
Jim, they run a curl pattern where they take Price. Now watch him curl. Now he'll run. Right now, this is what I talk about, read the defense. He's going to run Dawkins right into a screen. He runs as close as possible to his teammate, gets the ball, and then they have the dump down inside. Great execution. If Price is open, he'll shoot the jump shot, but Dawkins fought over the screen, played him tough, but then they had the second option, entry inside to Ferrell.
Ferrell now with 7 points, a chance for 8.
They missed Ferrell last year in the NCAA Championship Series when he had that knee injury in the ACC tournament and never could play during the postseason.
Excuse me. They took the basket away from Ferrell and are giving him 2 shots.
Yeah, it was a 2-shot opportunity. He played somewhat in the NCAA tournament, Jim, but he was never a guy that can play full time like he did during the year because of the knee problem.
All right, it's a 7-point lead still. They still haven't gotten better than that. Georgia Tech, but at the moment they'll take it with 7:40 to go.
Duke's got to get more motion now offensively. Too stationary. They got to swing the ball. See, they're telegraphing every pass, Jim. They're telegraphing the ball. They're sending a message on every entry to the interior.
Duke came out looking so good, taking charge to begin the second half. Ferry, using Henderson, drops it in.
Excellent release by Danny Ferry. Played for a great coach in high school, Morgan Wooten, one of the tremendous teachers of the game of basketball out of DeMatha High School.
Long way to go. 5-point game, 7:15 to go. Neal, Sally.
There's that relentless pressure we're talking about.
And he's walking. Sally trying to get around Alary's pressure. Succumbs to the traveling violation.
Yeah, he succumbed really to the tremendous defensive tenaciousness. And there is Kremens saying, no, he did not walk, but he lifted his pivot foot. Krzyzewski calls a set play, foreplay, and try to dump it inside. Have a screen, try to dump the ball down inside.
Amaker has the ball knocked away by Craig Neal, who says, not me.
Craig Neal tries to get the jump shooter as he's going up for the shot, as opposed to trying to block it once he's in the air.
Amaker, the outstanding free throw shooter for Duke with an 86% average. And he has a chance to draw them within 3 points with 6:52 to go.
Someone once told me that when you talk about point guards, they're like quarterbacks and shortstops. They're guys that are born. They're not guys that you can really make into that position. And this kid here is born with all his natural talent as a leader on the floor.
Wow. Just didn't get to the front of the rim.
He's having a tough time shooting the basketball, and I credit that to the great defense of Georgia Tech.
Nobody's in front of him now.
Yeah, but that can affect you, though, Jim. Mentally, he's struggling right now. Shooting a basketball is psychological
He
as
missed
well.
2, and he's an 86% free throw shooter. Dowley, Alary's there by himself. Alary has 10 points, plus great defensive play in the second half, and 18 points altogether. It's a 3-point game. 6:40 to go.
John Sally's trying to overhandle a little bit.
Reaching in, Dawkins.
Dawkins is about 6'2", but he's got such long arms that it makes him about a 6'3½", 6'4" player out of Mackin High School, where Austin Carr, the former Notre Dame superstar, played. Duck Williams, another Notre Dame standout.
Dawkins draws a foul. Price missed his first. His hit 5 in a row. This is 1 and 1. 6 in a row.
He's got that great follow-through, the excellent concentration on the line. His dad coached with the Phoenix Suns and John McLeod, and also was an assistant at Oklahoma.
Ferrell replaces Neal for Georgia Tech.
These guys come a long way from Appalachian State. Frank McGuire learned his lessons well under Coach McGuire at the University of South Carolina as a 3-year starter on some great South Carolina basketball teams.
5-point lead, 6.5 minutes to go.
There's the zone. They go to a different look at their zone. Also, it's a 1-2-2 look as opposed to the 2-3.
Amaker. Ball was touched. In and out. Hammond's another rebound.
Just enough to throw Duke off their rhythm. Good coaching move by Kremens, rotating into the zone defense.
7 rebounds for the freshman Tom Hammond, who has 6 points all in the first half. Dalrymple has been hot and remains hot. That's 17 points for Dalrymple.
Excellent ball
reversal to get the wing jump shot. Now they come back into the zone and they say, Duke, shoot over the top. We're not going to let it inside.
7-point lead again. Dawkins to Amaker. Whistle blows. Amaker misses, and there's a foul, and I think that's on Farrell, and if it is, that's 4.
Jim, just a little coaching move can affect the entire tempo of the game. They're in the zone now, and they're going to say, shoot the perimeter jump shot. We get the foul right here, but prior to that, they were definitely thinking perimeter because their inside game is shut off by the zone defense.
4:57. It's all over. Berry.
We've had a really good officiated game as well. We haven't complained on any calls.
Dawkins, they let him alone, but the ball's not going to go in, and there's Big John Sally with a rebound and a foul by Alarie.
Get only one shot against the zone because the great size of Sally and also Hammonds, and you look at Dow, Farrell on the floor. They're on the inside, and they got great rebounding position, Jim.
The 7-footer John Sally now has 7 rebounds, as does Tom Hammonds. Dalrymple also has been a force in rebounding. 7 for Hammond, 7 for Sally, and 5. Well, all of those in the first half for Dalrymple.
Last year, Sally was able to gamble a lot more with the presence of the intimidator, the Haitian sensation, Ivan Joseph at 6'11". This year, he's had to play honest more because he's trying to help out young people like Tom Hammonds. So therefore, he's not from the help side and getting the good shot blocking angles, and he's not getting the ability to get inside and get a lot of slam dunks because right now he's playing directly in the center of the floor, and it's a big difference.
Biggest lead of the night, 8 points for Georgia Tech. Alarie's loose underneath, and he is. Sally draws the block hit, so that's number 4 for him.
Good move by Alarie without the basketball. He really moves well without the ball. He gets inside position right now. Watch him flash to the ball. There's the good entry, the good angle. And notice how he uses the left hand to protect the basketball. If he shoots it with the right hand, Sally blocks it without contact. But by using the left hand, Sally fouls.
Alarie with his first free throw of the night. Now has 19 points.
From out of Scottsdale, Arizona. That's beautiful. Beautiful country down there in Arizona.
Deal is coming back in. Let's see who steps up. Rose got, well, will move up front. Neal takes over and back. John Sally, 4 personal fouls. Corella just came in as 4 personal fouls.
His first 2 years of college competition, Jim, he fouled out of 17 games. Last year, he was able to stay on the floor and seemed to have solved that problem.
20 points for Alarie, 12 of those in the second half. 5:19 left, 65-59 Tech. Dalrymple feeds, and there is a slam by Hammond. Hard to foul.
Hard to believe that he's only a freshman, Jim.
Phillips draws the foul.
They love it. Look at these engineering students. These kids are really engineering students. Tom Hammonds. Watch the pass by Dalrymple. Very unselfish. They make the extra pass, and there's the explosive move from out of Crestview, Florida, just flying through the sky.
You just wonder, Dick, if Duke can overcome Georgia Tech tonight and overcome Georgia Tech's emotion tonight. They are sky high, and they're leading by 9 points.
Hasn't been easy for Duke playing on a road at North Carolina and getting 2 days rest and coming out here to Georgia Tech, but that's life in the ACC.
Alarie drops one in to quiet them for a minute. That's 6 baskets in this half and 14 points altogether in this half.
Excellent 2-man basketball. Get the good rotation, draw the defense to him, and then make a good entry inside with a good 45-degree angle, which is so important. They're running a little triangle, 2 people at the high post.
Duke has lost only to Carolina. Tech has lost only to Michigan, and that was last November. Turnover here, but Price gets it back and converts.
Price gets that great shooter's touch, converts in the lane.
19 points Price, 12 in this half. It's a 9-point lead again.
And now they rotate into the 2-3 zone. With this adrenaline electricity, that pain has disappeared on Mark Price's ankle.
Henderson off the front of the rim, not even close. Here's Neal.
Oh, showtime.
Carries it in.
I get a timeout, Mike. Get a timeout.
Got to. 11 points. 72-61. A game that everybody figured to be close at the moment is 11-point blowout for Georgia Tech with 4 minutes and 1 second to go.
There's right now the ball's pitched out to the wing, and now Neal's going to showboat a little. He's going to stick it in one hand. He's going to hang in the air. There goes Noodles. He's a little thin. He looks like a spaghetti. He goes down, and I remember he broke his wrist last year and was out for the entire season. A medical red shirt. He's been a QT quality player here tonight.
He is getting up. They call him Noodles because he is 6'5" and weighs only 166 pounds. Dick Vitale gave you these keys to the winning. Put your eye all the way down to the bottom of the screen under Georgia Tech.
I think that's been the difference. We talked about Neal having to come off the bench and contribute here tonight, and he has contributed, as we talked about, as a quality player. This guy right here has given him a third guard who has been a positive player on the floor, something he has not been doing most of this year. But remember this, as he applies some ice to his body, that ice isn't going to feel too bad when he goes back to the dorm tonight, and everybody congratulates him if they get the W. Remember, there's still a lot of time here.
Less than 4 minutes to go. Amaker is loose. He's not been shooting well, but drops that one in, hardly touching the net.
Well, he moved in, Jim. He moved his range in about 2 feet, shot the open jumper. It's really unfair. Duke will get beaten here possibly tonight. They lose to Carolina, and then they drop in the rankings. You've got to lose some games, especially when you're playing head-to-head and you're going on the road. Duke is certainly one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the United States.
Well, they played #1 Carolina last Saturday. And here's Georgia Tech and Duke 2-3 in the nation tonight, playing each other.
Look at Cremins. Look at Cremins. I was teasing him. I said, you've come a long way from the streets of New York. This is assistant Perry Clark is saying, now look, take it easy, coach. Everything's under hand. He says, I got it under control, Perry. I got it under control. Don't worry about it. I got it under control. They got a great staff. They really work well together. George Felton sitting to his left.
Mark Gallery with 3 fouls. Here's Sally 1 for 2 from the line. Drops that through. And John now has 12 points.
Take a look at Mike Krzyzewski, certainly not happy right now with the score. Hey, I promised Bobby Cremins I would not put the whammy on his club and tell the nation that I expect Georgia Tech to win the ACC because their physical strength inside, maybe their power inside, be a little bit too much for Dean and his fellas down in North Carolina.
Dawkins, well, they play Carolina in their next game next Saturday. There's a shot by Dawkins. That is the next game for Georgia Tech. They've got to play North Carolina at Carolina. Then on the 4th, which you'll see here on ESPN, 4th of February, they're back down here with North Carolina.
Doesn't get easy. Life in the penthouse. You got to go out and win these games if you want to be recognized as a super club.
Duke has it. They're calling it a block. Give the basket to Dawkins.
Very sloppy play by Georgia Tech in their execution on the other end of the floor. You can't ever relax against a team with this kind of talent. There's right now. Does he come over? Is he set? Is he leaning in? I don't know. That's one of those calls you can look at all day. You can say, yes, it's a block. No, it's a charge.
Well, Dick, it was an 11-point lead for Georgia Tech. With 2:37 to go, if Dawkins knocks this in, it is a 6-point lead, and we're right back to in doubt.
Duke is a great spurt basketball team who plays tough enough defensively that they can get back in the game, Jim.
A 6-point lead, 2:37 to go. Tech lead.
They're going to play head-to-head, tough man-to-man defense. Look at Dawkins right now. You look at that quickness playing the ball. That's called drive him, beat him, and try to turn him.
That's Farrell. He's got to move gingerly. Sally, like Farrell, has 4 personal fouls.
They got to play smart down the end. They got to learn to use some of that 45-second clock.
Farrell loses the ball out of bounds off his own foot.
3 possessions in a row. If you were to chart their offensive efficiency and their rating now down the stretch, at winning time, they have not been playing well.
They could draw within 4 after being down by 11.
They're going to try to isolate Dawkins. Isolation in a one-on-one.
Dawkins, not there. Hammonds gets the ball off the hands of Ferry. And here comes Tech. Dawkins took the shot. Just 1 shot. They didn't get it back.
Right now, Price is going to take over. He's a great free throw shooter. He's going to force them to foul.
There's Price in. No foul. He gets the basket.
What a clutch player, Jim. He's money. He's a PTPer, a primetime performer. He's surf and turf.
14 points this half. 21 altogether. Dawkins from the side. He answers. And Dawkins now has 9 points in this half and 15 altogether. It is a 6-point ball game with 1:33 to go. Georgia Tech 76-70. From Atlanta, Jim Simpson, Dick Vitale. In the assist department, Dick, Amaker has 6 for Duke, Dawkins 5. That's about right. Price has but 3, but 7-footer John Salley has 5.
Jim, really one of the great things of these two basketball clubs is their great intelligence on the floor. However, when you talk about execution down the stretch, Georgia Tech has made it tough for itself because they really haven't played as heady as a team should, an experienced team should, in the last 2 minutes in terms of possessions.
Let me give you another statistic. Duke 48% from the field this half. Tech, you ready? 81% in this half from the field.
Amazing. And when you look at their starting 5, all shooting better than 50%, that again is an amazing statistic. Look at the pressure defensively, trying to beat him to the ball. Now notice how they'll stretch out the defense. They'll isolate Price with the ball. He goes between his legs. Great change of direction. He's got all the moves with the basketball.
Now Dawkins is really wrestling there, and I thought that should have been a foul, but it was not.
Again, poor execution, Jim.
Dawkins takes it all the way in. It is no good, and a foul is called on Salley. He's out of there. He's out of there. John Salley goes out with 13 points.
Georgia Tech's doing all it can to keep Duke in a basketball game in their offensive execution. Right here. Now look at this great move. He knows he's going right at Salley. He's going to challenge him. He's got 4 fouls. He takes it right up at him.
Dawkins can draw it within 4. Salley goes out with 13 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. There's the play again that sends him out.
The great athletic ability and body control of Dawkins created the foul opportunity. As we look at Salley, Canarsie High School superstar. It's the home of World B. Free, who's had to move over now. Number 2 World B. This guy's number 1 in the streets of Brooklyn. Pearl saying, what are you talking about? I'm number 1 in Brooklyn.
Dawkins has 15 points, 9 in this half.
Jim, if they convert these two, you're going to see tenacious man-to-man pressure. Georgia Tech on the other end will, against the man-to-man pressure, isolate Price with the ball and have him bring it up one-on-one.
76-72, 1:14 to go. Whistle blows, 1-1, foul call.
Dawkins definitely trying to play Price, fouls him and trying to get the basketball. Not the guy you want to foul. Watch Dawkins really working on the defensive end right here. He's trying to face guard. That's face guard denial. He's trying to beat him to the ball. Price with the great movement without the basketball. The official says, no, Dawkins, I got you. But Dawkins says, I'm an All-American. You're not supposed to call that on me. But the ref says, hey, Price is an All-American.
Who has hit his last 7 in a row. They need him here. Tech has only scored 1 time their last 5 trips down the floor.
They're really not executing, as you say. As a coach, we used to chart down the end, use a different color marker. Great stroke to his shot. A la Chris Mullen, he's like automatic. Jim, we used to chart our game in the last 4 minutes using a different color to the ink because we'd like to see how players performed at winning time. Who was a good shooter at the end of the game?
Amaker takes the shot and gets the 2 right back.
That's a sign of a great team. No quit, come back and make the big play.
4-point lead, 1 minute to go.
There's the isolation. They try to one-on-one with the basket. Look at Neal. He's going to handle it.
And there's Dawkins reaching in again. That's 4 on him. Has to do something with 56 seconds left. Now, Neal is an 83% free throw shooter, but has not been to the line yet tonight.
Jim, it's very important to notice the offensive attack of Georgia Tech against the man-to-man. They spread out with good space relationship. They're at least 17 feet apart from one another, so Duke cannot rotate over and double-team the basketball.
Tech is 18 for 23. And here is Craig Neal, who is not, well, I was going to say he hasn't been there before, but what difference does that make? That's 9 points. He's for the sophomore out of Washington, Indiana, where his dad Stan is the coach at the high school there.
He's played a solid game off the bench. He's really been a contributor.
Oh, look at that. He drops him through, and it's back to a 6-point lead. Time has been called, and called by Georgia Tech. 56 seconds left. Tech seemingly in charge by 6, but you never know.
Ice or snowstorms can cause interruptions to your electric service, which Jersey Central Crews will restore.
At this point, Mark Gallery, the high man for Duke, with 22. And Mark Price, the high man for Georgia Tech, with 21, including his last 9 free throws in a row and 5 of his 7 baskets in this, the second half, and he is hobbling at that.
One game certainly doesn't make a career, but tonight, you know, the Duke backcourt, I feel, has really been outplayed by the Georgia Tech backcourt, but it still doesn't change my way of rating. I still go with Amaker and Dawkins as the best backcourt in the nation, but right here, Price and Dalrymple would have to be number 2. And we look 80% in the second half. That is amazing. You're not going to beat too many clubs.
13 of 16 they've hit in the second half.
Reminds me of Villanova against Georgetown.
Dawkins, and Allery was by himself.
They didn't allow him to take any time off the clock. Not a good play defensively by Georgia Tech.
Up. Price fell down, but held on to the ball with 40 seconds to go on a 4-point lead.
Look at the way they're playing Price, but he moves so well without the ball.
And there's a foul on Henderson, his 4th. And Dalrymple will go to the line. Well, I'll tell you one good thing I feel very good about as I walk out of Alexander Memorial Coliseum tonight. You and I, first weekend in April, first long weekend in April, will be, or in March rather, we'll be in Greensboro to watch the ACC get together with their tournament.
Here's a look at Georgia Tech on the free throw line. I think it's important if you look at the free. Dalrymple's certainly the guy you'd want to foul because he's not a good shooter per se. He's probably such a clutch performer. He's not worried about those stats. That's what I was going to say, Jim. The real important stat is what a guy does down the stretch. And I'll bet if you were to chart, and we don't know what his stats are at winning time, I'll bet this guy is much better than that 61% is in terms of for the entire game.
All right, 19 points for Dalrymple. Keep in mind that Price hit both ends of a 1-and-1. Craig hit both ends of a 1-and-1. And then Dalrymple did it as Allery adds yet another basket. 30 seconds to go. No time off the clock, really. They were back to a 4-point game. 7 assists now for Dawkins. They've called timeout. But first Price, then Craig Neal, then Bruce Dalrymple stepped up 1-and-1, and they didn't miss a single shot. 82-78. Once Dick gets through, he will crawl into the studio.
I'm emotionally drained, Jim. I've had a great time. I've been so keyed up for this game all day, and it really hasn't disappointed me. But you know what, Jim? Really, how important, I don't want to knock it down, is it in-season clash? Because really to these two teams, the NCAA tournament is number 1. Number 2 is the ACC tournament. And this is really third. But they're playing for so much pride right now. And they have a tremendous intensity between both schools.
There's your backcourt, the 5 best backcourts. As he said, the second one on your list has outplayed the first one on his list tonight, at least.
Well, you know, they have a little bit more help, Dalrymple and Price, on their inside, but I don't want to negate their great job here tonight. Smith and Hale would be number 3 from North Carolina. I love Vernon Maxwell and Andrew Moten. I can't wait to get down and do a Florida game. And Antoine Joubert and Grant are number 5. And I was in a locker room one day at practice, and these two guys told me, they said, Dick, forget Dawkins and Amaker and Dalrymple and Price. We're number 1 in the nation, Grant and Joubert. But not the way they've been playing. They haven't played like number 1.
26 points for Allery, who has been loose under the basket a couple of times. The ball belongs to Tech. They're down by 4 with half a minute to go.
They're going to have to try to make the quick steal or foul. Again, I guess you got to go after Dalrymple. You certainly don't want to foul Mark Price. He's automatic. There's a look at the full court face guard pressure.
And there's Amaker, and he fouled Price, who has 9 in a row from the line.
It's pretty tough not to foul him, though, if he's going to handle the ball. Right. You know, we're talking about great guards. The best trio in the nation has to be down in North Carolina. Nobody can rotate 3 in like Jeff Lebo, who to me is the coming of the next superstar at Carolina. He's got so many of the qualities of a guy that played out in Cabin Creek, West Virginia, by the name of
Jerry West.
Fair player. Fair player.
10 in a row for Price.
So if I told you after you missed the first one, just put it down. Why do you waste time keeping score? We've been working together 7 years, and you still don't trust my word.
He's liable to this.
Oh, forget about it.
11 in a row.
He tickles the twine with the best of them.
6-point lead, 25 seconds to go. Amaker puts it up. No good. Dalrymple with another rebound.
Oh, he just smells.
And he is fouled, and this game belongs to Georgia Tech.
Get ready, Dean. Get your people ready down at Chapel Hill, because Cremins, look at him. He wants his bench to stand up. There's Amaker, throws up the J, and now it's history. Dalrymple closes it off with the rebound. They attack him, and Henderson looks at the official. Be nice, David. Be nice.
As Duke played Carolina and then had to come down here to play Tech. Tech is playing Duke, and then Saturday their next game is at Carolina. It's tough in the ACC.
They got that great new facility, Dean Smith Arena.
What they call it, the Dean Dome?
That's the Dean Dome. He deserves it. I'll tell you. You talk about a Hall of Famer and one of the class coaches in the history of the game. I know I'm on Dean's PR staff. You know, he really everywhere I go, they say
I'm all over the Carolina now talking about Vitale. Here is Dalrymple, who is not fished from here, didn't come close there. They just keep hitting these one-on-ones and staying in front of Duke.
That's why those stats really are almost meaningless when you come down to clutch kids like this. I mean, this kid, look at the concentration.
Anderson, who fouled out, had fouled out with 8 points and 5 rebounds. 86-78, 20 seconds to go. Dawkins, Price did a job on him there with no whistle.
Look at him with the ball.
And gets the ball to Farrell. Dalrymple, 9 seconds, 2-shot foul called on Ferry. Ferry tonight has 10 points.
Fouled away from the ball. Jubilation.
This would be the 15th win in a row for Georgia Tech after losing to Michigan in the Hall of Fame game in Springfield, Massachusetts. And it would be the second loss in a row for Duke to Carolina and Georgia Tech after having won 16 in a row. Farrell misses, but it is a 2-shot foul.
You should see the guards they're getting. Michael Christian, you talk about a super high school guard from Denver, Colorado, and Brian Oliver. What a tandem Bobby Cremins is bringing here, along with a 6'11 kid by the name of James Munna.
They let Dawkins go all the way in, and Dawkins has 13 points in the second half, 19 altogether. But this game is over. Final score, Georgia Tech hands Duke its second loss, extends the winning streak to 15, 87-70, 87-80. Jim Simpson, Dick Vitale, good night from Atlanta. Third Indiana College basketball doubleheader at 7 o'clock, Clemson and South Carolina. Then at 9 o'clock, the ACC matchup, North Carolina State and Maryland. And coming up next, you heard his microphone go down as he's on his way. Dial Dick Vitale. You can call the coach. Tonight's game has been brought to you by the financial professionals at Payne Weber Incorporated. Again, the final score. Tech wins it. Big ACC game. 87-80. They're undefeated in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Duke has lost 2 in a row in the conference.